Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be painting a tiger. I'm going to be showing you step by step how to do this. Draw and paint it with acrylics. Got my husband Mark here for the live show.
Hey there, everybody.
So if you've got any questions, you can pose those in the chat. Let's get started. Okay, so this is my example painting. I had a photo contest a little bit ago, and our third place winner, our number one was, I can't remember now. What was the one that I did a couple weeks ago? I don't know. It's been too long. I've slept since then. This one
We did a tractor.
That was in the other group.
Oh.
And then the turtle was also in the other group.
We did some paintings.
There was something that won first place in this one. It's over there somewhere. I don't know. Anyhow, it
We'll
doesn't
figure
matter.
it out.
Jane Yates posed this photograph that she took, and I thank her for letting me use it for this tutorial. I loved the bamboo in the background. There was actually 2 or 3 really good tiger photos, but I really liked the expression on his face. He looks kind of like he's contemplating how you would taste, you know. And I like the bamboo, so we're gonna use that. And I changed the colors a little bit, but I tried to kind of capture his expression. I made the eyes a little bit bigger, and stuff like that, just for artistic, whatever, you know, my own artistic flair on it. So he's not ultra realistic, but got pretty close. So
He's pretty realistic looking.
he took about 3 hours or so. So we're going to try to keep it shorter than that today. We'll see how it goes.
I packed a lunch, so I'm
Good.
ready.
Mark's got his whole stash of
Beef jerky.
over
got
there.
my iced tea, so
I painted this example one on my Strathmore mixed media pad. I do all of my example paintings on it. So if you want to pick one of those up, the link is down in the description. Oh, that was one of the other ones too. It wasn't that one though. I don't know. It's going to bug me until I figure out which one won the number one. When you get doing two a week, and it's been 3 weeks since then, it's just, I don't remember.
I'll keep an eye on chat to see if somebody can bail us out
I'm
on this
sure
one.
somebody knows which one won in
Yeah.
the Thankful Art group, but that's okay. I'll do another photo contest here probably in another month or so, because it's a lot of fun and helps me kind of know what people want to see too. So that's good. So I'm going to do the background first with this green. I'm going to make kind of a really dark green color. I'm going to even add just a tiny bit of black to it. And the phthalo green. Let me go over our palette really quick. I didn't do that yet. Titanium white, unbleached titanium yellow oxide. I also prepped the background of my 9-inch by 12-inch gesso board. With that, you can use canvas or whatever size you want and just scale it up. So yellow oxide, burnt sienna, burnt umber, black, carbon black, and phthalo blue green shade, phthalo green yellow shade, and cadmium yellow medium, and cadmium red medium. So those are our colors, and I'm just going to paint over. Now, you might say, why did you bother painting the whole thing if you were just going to cover it all up? Well, acrylic's about layering, and so even though we're covering this up, you can see a little bit of that yellow color through, even when I'm laying on this next color. And that, especially with the tiger, he has a lot of golden tones in his fur, and so I thought that yellow oxide would be a really good color for the background. It also works with our green bamboo, so we just did the whole thing with it.
Okay, so I know what the painting was.
What was it?
Oh, you want me to tell you?
Yes.
Okay. It's a painting it can go in only one room of the house.
Oh, the starfish. Yes, thank you. Thank you. That would have bugged me so bad.
I knew that people in chat would come through.
Yeah, they all know.
They have a much better memory than we do.
Great. I know. Okay, so his fur is going to come out to here, but I want to have this green underneath it, so I'm going to go a little bit on top of where I think the fur is going to go, a little bit farther in than I need to. And I'm just going to pull these vertical lines. It's okay if it streaks a little bit. We're going to do another layer on top of this, so don't worry too much. But I want a nice dark green because I want some good shadows. I may have to add a little bit more black to it even. And we'll do just some dark streaks for this one that's kind of farther back. Right here. And in the photograph, there is, I don't know, there's something right here that's kind of lighter color. Why don't you pop up the example painting there, honey? If you notice, I eliminated that in the tiger, in the one that I did. It didn't add anything to the composition, having this light patch right here. And so I felt like it was a better, color-wise, better composition to have it all green. It just made more sense visually. Anytime that there's something in a photograph that does not add to the story, I usually try to eliminate it or kind of, you know, simplify it when I can. Because it just, if you have to go, what is that? To me, that's not, you know, you know what I mean? It makes it, it doesn't add to the piece. So I usually eliminate anything that's kind of confusing or not visually interesting. But you can leave it in there if you want that light patch behind his head. You can go for it. So you're painting. Do what you like.
We'd like to say hi to everybody across the world that is joining us.
Yes.
We've got our usual suspects in Europe. Miss Mona.
Some names.
Mona's here. We just had somebody from Hawaii join us.
Ooh.
Now I lost their name. Boy, this is anticlimactic now.
That's all right. You can find it later.
Yeah. Ruzia. Ruzea. Hope I'm pronouncing her name correct. And then we got UK is here. Carolyn in the UK.
Nice.
Imagine if that's how we went by our names. Mark from Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh, we got a shiny spot on there. That's all right. All right, just so I just used the edge of my brush here. I've got my large number 12 bright for this part. You can use a smaller brush if you want to. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to mess with it while it's drying. If it starts to lift on you, acrylics get sticky when they're drying. So if you go over the same spot too many times and it starts to dry on you, it'll start to lift off the canvas. And don't try to keep painting over that top of the spot because it'll just lift more and more and more of it off. Once acrylics start to dry, you just really have to back off, let them dry completely, use a hairdryer on it, you know, and then come back to it. So, tip for the day. One of many, hopefully.
It probably was a good one if I was paying attention.
That's all right. It's all right. Not important.
For me.
For you. Right.
All right. Carry on.
Okay, thanks. All right. Let's draw a tiger here. I'm going to do it on, I think I'm going to do it on, since I've got my tiger already drawn out on this one, I'm going to set him aside to dry, and I'm going to draw it on my practice sheet really quick. No, it's fine. It's not important. Let me see if this is dark enough for you to see on the... Yeah, you should be able to see that. Okay. So I figured out where I wanted his head, and I wanted this side of it really close to the edge of the canvas. So this actually pad is the same size as the canvas we're using, so it makes it really easy for me to scale my drawings onto my canvases. So I drew a large circle for his face, left a little space for his chin below it. So just do your best to kind of get a general circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of like that. I don't know why I did that thing way up there. That's all right. Then I'm going to split his face in two since he's looking straight at us. I'm going to just do a light line across this way and this way. This is hard to do with it flat on the thing without it moving it. The arm doesn't want to bend that way. Okay. Actually, I think I'm a little bit off there. More like that. Okay, so that's his basic head shape. The top of his head's got a curve in, so you're going to curve down just slightly and back up right here. And then this part gets erased. Let me get my precision eraser. Make it a little bit easier. Okay. Then he's got ears that come down about as dip about as low as that, and then come back up. And they're kind of triangular, so they kind of curve up and then back around real tight like this, and then there's fur that comes down and kind of connects this part here. It looks really weird, but you gotta trust it'll look good eventually. And then this part actually is a little bit smaller right here. There's a spot here and a spot here. The other ear is similar. It's a little bit flatter. He's got it angled a little bit differently, so you're seeing more of it. So it's a little bit bigger shaped, and there's still fur over here. Like that. And then there's a little spot right here. And try to kind of get the tops of them a little bit equal. So this one may be a little bit high. You can maybe adjust that and bring it down a little bit. And bring this one up a little bit if you need to. Just so that these two are kind of equally shaped. All right, then let's just do the eyes. I'm not going to do the stripes. I'll explain those as I draw it. But his face has got like this heart shape. So you kind of go just above this line and draw an upside down heart. And this is his muzzle. And then it curves up like this. This is his mouth space. This is all dark in here. And you've got a split right here. And then his nose sits right above that. So there's like a little, it's almost like a heart shape too for the nose. It curves down here, comes up. And then there's an angle right here of black that goes like this. So straight angles there and there from this little split. And then the nostrils cut this part out right here and here. You do that a little bit darker so you can see it better. I made a traceable of my original drawing, the one that I did. I just copied this one. So that's available on Patreon if you don't want to have to draw it yourself. Or on Facebook, you can get the original drawing, or the original of the tiger, the original photograph, and just trace that if you want to. If you don't want to draw, don't feel like it's cheating. You should use whatever resources make you comfortable and get you painting. Okay, the bottom mouth of the mouth kind of curves down and goes across, straight across, like that. And then all of this is filled in with hair on both sides. And it kind of does almost straight across here and then straight up to actually farther out than the ears. So then there's some dark fur here and here, but we're not going to worry about that. The colors, we're just worried about the shapes right now. So the nose has kind of a narrowed area right here that we're going to shade differently than this part. And then the inside of the eyes starts right about where this kind of hits this midline and sits right on top in this case. So we're going to And actually I'm going to widen it out a little bit. I don't want it quite as narrow as the nose. It's actually going to start out right about here. So if you need to draw a line straight up from either side and draw another line above here maybe to cage in your eyes so you know exactly where to place them and make sure that they're exactly the same distance, you can do that. So this one would kind of bisect right from below, from where the ear hits the head down. That's about where the end of the eye is going to be on either side of him. Maybe a little bit closer there. And then from about where the mouth starts straight up, and that'll be the inside of the eye. So it might help you to draw these little boxes. That way you're going to get your eyes both the same size. The top of the eye is going to, I have these curves here. I don't really need these. Well, that's all right. I will leave them because that's going to be white. So this is where the eye is going to start, and it's going to curve up at an angle here, and right, that one's closer than this one is. Somehow it got angled. This one's distracting me. I'm going to have to erase that line. Sorry. Talking to myself. Nothing new. Okay. This line is a little closer to the nose than this one. I had it curved out that way. Okay, there we go. Now they're equal. So start from this corner line and go up, and then angle out. Up to, actually it's kind of past midway, and then angles around, and then extends beyond that little box a little bit. Then the inside of the eye is going to curve this way. And then this whole section is black. Here and here, they have big teardrop ducts areas. Okay. Just making small changes because this eye was a little bit smaller than the other one. Just making sure that I've got them all about the same size. And then there is just make sure that this is a circle right here. Imagine a circle is going to extend outside of your eye there and there. So make these circles the same size, and then this part of it is covered by the lid. All right, so if you need to make circles, go for it and do that. And that way they'll be the same size. Then the pupils are slits, so they're kind of these. And they're slightly curved too. So there we go. He looks fierce. He looks a little angry there. If you want him to be less angry, you just kind of adjust that curve and make him a little bit more wide-eyed there. So just by adjusting that little curve right there of the outer line will kind of make him look a little bit more open, less angry. All right, and that's it. So, and then the rest of it is all going to be details on the stripes and things, but so not too hard. If you just do it step by step like that, I think it's totally doable. It's not, if you did the bear and the fox that we did before, I don't think he's that much harder. He just has a lot more details in the coloring, the stripes and things. So let me bring my other one back though, so I can look at it while I'm painting. All right, so 20 minutes in. Oh, we've gotten the background painted, part of the background, and drawn in. Like I said, 3 hours was conservative. Well, hopefully try to start booking here and get through it. All right, let me see. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I've got a 1/4 inch angle brush that's kind of old and fuzzy, so it's not perfectly formed. One of the brushes that is on the list to use is a Rake, and this is a Rake. It has, I'll hold it up against this, you can see it. Can you zoom? Go ahead and zoom in on it. Okay. It has bristles that are missing. So it has all these teeny tiny fine bristles. So when you paint with it, it creates these hair-like tiny fine lines that are all together. So a fan brush can do similar things, but obviously it's not going to have as much control because this is a lot thinner than the fan brush. Something like this could work. Like this is a stiff bristle hog brush. Probably what I would do is cut back all but a few of them to make a rake out of it. These are really cheap. And this one could work similarly. I wouldn't try to get the very long hairs on the sides of the face. The inside of the face, I used this quite a bit. So if you don't have a rake, don't feel like you have to go out and buy it. This came in the set, though, with the Deerfoot stippler and a fan brush and 2 mop brushes. So I hadn't used the rake in any of my videos yet. This is in the Brush Guys set that is called the texture set, and they're calling it a comb brush that comes with that set. So it's actually a pretty decent deal. I think it's $10 for all 5 brushes, so they're like $2 a piece, which is not bad. All right, let's get working on this guy. Okay, so I'm going to start out by painting in some of the stripes. This will just give us kind of some definition on our tiger. So I'm going to start up here at the top, and with this brush I'm just going to start tapping in. There's a couple of lines right at the top here. We'll fill in the ears a little bit. And I've used a little bit of burnt umber with my carbon black and created kind of a soft brown black color. So I'm just going to tap in and make sure that I have kind of irregular edges with this. I'm not really worried too much about the directionality of my brush strokes, but it does help if you're kind of aware of that. It'll help save you time later if you've already got some of these brush strokes kind of going in the direction that they're supposed to go. So just kind of thinking about which way the hair would grow and tapping in the brush strokes in that direction. So if there's any see-through parts, it'll just kind of do the work for us. I made that a little bit too thick right there. If you get a little overzealous with your brush, you can take your damp cloth and just quickly wipe off that section. It'll come right off. Just make sure your background's dry completely and don't press too hard. Okay. Then there is this big stripe right across the top of his forehead. And just by tapping, I can get these kind of fuzzy, since I'm using a brush that's already got kind of some fuzziness, I can get this kind of interesting, irregular shaped brush strokes. It helps with the illusion. And this is really all about just kind of creating layers. The tiger is going to look way worse before he gets better. So this just to warn you. You know, even, I mean, I've been painting for a long time now, and I've done, you know, I'm fairly confident that I can paint most things, you know. I mean, there's some things that kind of scare me still, but even I got, to the ugly stage on this painting and was like, oh no. Like Mark walked in when I was just kind of coming out of that stage, and I was like, I hate this painting. So, it's just a matter of layers with this guy. He's going to look really weird until you get to the final, like, 2 layers, or maybe 1 layer, so just kind of trust the process. I'll get you there, but it may be painful. You just kind of have to trust that it'll happen. Because you'll fight yourself. I still have to fight that feeling of, oh my gosh, this is not going to turn out like I want it to. It doesn't matter how long I've painted. If I do something new, and I've never painted a tiger before, so I've painted other animals, but it's just colors and shapes. That's all it is. Values, colors, and shapes. And if you just pay attention to those, you can do it. It's just that sometimes, especially with fur, I was telling Mark, I was really trying at first to make this a very simplified version, like I did with the bear and the fox, but he looked really gnarly. So I had to go more realistic just to make myself happy. He just wasn't gonna look the way I wanted him to without having these extra details. So
we just got a super chat donation from Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Yes, and we have we got more areas. We have somebody watching from Sicily.
Ooh.
And Hungary. We got our Canadian friends with us today, and
nice.
It's Canada Day today.
Happy Canada
Day.
That's great.
Here in 2017, and then we got Australia's with us.
What's their national animal? Should have painted their national animal today.
I think it's a tiger.
I think so. It is now.
Yeah. I think they're going to pass a law.
It should be.
It'd be tiger now.
Yeah. Okay, so here's our circle. I'm going on the outside of it to create the outside of his face. So his face isn't that perfect circle that we originally drew. It does have a little bit of angularity out here in the cheekbones. So just make sure you get those in. They kind of curves in and back out. Well, that's pretty cool. That is one of the best things about doing YouTube, is just getting to meet people from all over the world. It's so interesting. I'm already losing my voice. One of those days. I can tell already. I need to start talking really high. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That keeps my voice from getting growly. I'm serious.
Okay, well, I'll pump some helium into the room to help us out.
If I talk up in my nasal area instead of down low in my voice box, I don't know, in my throat, yeah. I normally talk in my throat, kind of, but if I talk more up high in my nose, I don't have the problems that I have with, my voice doesn't tire out as quickly. That's what I've heard, at least. That's what I was told. Okay, for some reason I put this one way up too high. I don't know what I did there. Or maybe not big enough. That's it. And honestly, I kind of went by the picture, but I sort of took liberties with it, so... And I notice, they're not exactly the same if you look at the reference photo, and him, they don't match up, although there's a stripe here that's not on this side. So it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. There's a spot up here that doesn't match on this side either. So, excuse me.
Okay, you could have painted this one for the Canadian national animal.
What was it?
It is a beaver.
Oh.
And you should see the picture.
I would have thought it would be a moose.
You should see the picture that Google popped up for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is it funny?
Yeah, I'll bring it over there so you can see it on camera here in a sec.
Okay, this is more angled up like this. Well, it might be a copyrighted photo, so you may not be able to show it online. Sorry.
Okay, I'll bring it over and then we can blur it out. I'll put my hand over it.
Oh my gosh.
It is a beaver that's chewing on a bar.
Oh, cute.
With his tongue sticking out. Quite funny.
That is, yeah. That's cute. Good picture.
All right, now get back to work.
I am. I'm trying. I'm trying to go as fast as I can with this.
So would you like to thank everybody again for joining us today? If you haven't, you just found Angela's channel, you can subscribe to her channel so you can click a bell somewhere, I'm told.
It's right next to the subscribe button.
Oh, okay. So you can get reminders.
Yes.
We, right now in 2017, we're doing shows on Saturday afternoons at 2 o'clock Central Time U.S. and 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Tuesdays.
Yes.
And then Angela tries to do more complicated paintings on Saturdays and a little simpler ones on Tuesdays.
Yes.
So glad that you're with us, and thanks for joining. Back to the star of the show. I got to work on that.
Work on your delivery there. It's all right. Okay, so I'm going underneath the eye. There's a white area right here that's underneath the eye, so I'm going to kind of tap in a little bit of black under that. Here and here. I wish you could zoom in on that photograph. I should have some photograph zooms for you to zoom in portions of the photo when we need it. I can pull this out. So we're doing right here, these dark areas underneath, and I'm not going to try to do the eye because I need a better brush for that. It needs to be smoother, but the stripes I can do with this because I like the irregularness of this. Some of the stripes are a little bit more smooth, but we're going to be putting other layers on top and around these, and so we can smooth it out and mess with it. But this is just our first layer. There's at least, well, this is going to be our second layer, obviously, on top of the yellow, and then there'll be at least one more layer on top of it. In the in-between areas, there's at least 2 more layers as well. So it'll be I would say a 2-sitting painting, depending on how fast you paint. But usually I think in general it takes about twice as long to do the tutorials when you're starting and stopping watching from video. So this might be a long one, but it definitely was fun. Once I kind of figured out how to teach it, that was the hardest part, is just kind of figuring out how to make it teachable. Okay, and there's another stripe that kind of comes in down here, connects up the bottom of the mouth. Okay, let's do the same thing on this side. Do you have any tiger facts for us today, hon?
Ooh, I am so unprepared. Let me see what I can do here.
Tiger facts.
Well, they're members of the cat family.
They're a big cat, yep. I know they live in India.
They're not native to Arkansas.
No. Is there any other place in the world that they live besides India? There's probably are, but that's the only place I know of. I wonder if anybody watching has ever seen a tiger in the wild. That would be terrifying. Probably.
Let's see, there's Indonesian tigers. Oh, sorry, Indo-Chinese, Siberian,
Okay.
Sumatran, Malayan, and South Chinese, Caspian, and is extinct.
Sad.
Then Javan tiger is extinct. And the South Chinese tiger says it is extinct in the wild.
Oh my.
And so what you're painting, I believe, is the Bengal tiger.
Bengal. Yes, that sounds right. Okay, just continuing to do these stripes. So these ones kind of cup the eye here. These ones all kind of curve in and do a center line. So these ones above the eye kind of curve in, and then there's these two flat ones that kind of come up and around and sort of follow the shape of the outline of the head. And then you've got these ones on the side that kind of come in and do this S shapes around the outside of the eye and then kind of continue around. So I guess I'm not really explaining exactly how to draw those stripes, but hopefully you're following along there. Fairly obvious where they go. All right, so I'm going to just try to get these two lined up fairly close. And then it kind of curves down like this. Probably brought that out too far. It's all right. There's light shading. There's they're not quite stripes, but there's like this light kind of stippling in the fur right on the outside of these muzzle areas. So that's kind of helpful. Get these about the same spot. This dot and this dot. And then this curve here.
We got another super chat from Johanna.
Thank you, Johanna.
And we have a person who says they've seen a tiger in real life.
Whoa.
In the wild. Live.
Oh my goodness.
And
Did she pee her pants? It's okay if she did.
She's from Australia.
Oh my.
So I don't think she saw him in Australia. I think when she was traveling.
Probably. It's not the rare Australian tiger.
They swam there.
Oh, he was bad. He was real bad. You know what? I'm not going to say it. We got kids watching, but you know what I was going to say. Okay, so there's these. I'm going to draw in the V that's under the nose here. And you can see I'm kind of being deliberately sloppy about it. It's fine. We will clean it up. And honestly, the more kind of fuzzy and your edges are, the better with this. So don't try to do your stripes in solid smooth because it'll just give you more work later. So doing this kind of sketchiness is going to help save us time later. Okay, so we've got our V shape there for the bottom of the nose, and then we'll tap in our little muzzle whisker spots here. There's like dark where the whiskers go. And they curve up towards the nose, so this one kind of points in like that.
So here's your first tiger fact.
Okay.
They can easily jump over 5 meters.
How much is that? 5 meters? So meters like about 3 feet.
A meter is a little bit more than a yard, so over 15 feet, probably 16 feet. So.
Wow.
And they can reach speeds up to 40 miles per hour or 65 kilometers per hour.
So faster than you could run, that's for sure.
Slightly, yeah. And probably for longer than I can run.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, you don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to outrun the tiger. Just be faster than everybody else.
Yeah, be faster than your person next to you.
Yep.
Okay, zoom in on this part of this one. I want to kind of make sure you get this right because it'll actually help the whole look of the mouth. All right, that's good. That's good. Plenty. All right, so we're wanting to make sure that at the ends of these that we curve them up right here so that the that just gives that mouth the right roundedness. This one is going to kind of come straight almost from the base of the nose because they're all kind of pointing at this point right here. So this one's going to kind of come straight from them, but when it hits that outside edge, it's going to curve up. And each one of these is a little bit, that spot kind of touching there. That's okay. But by doing this rounded thing with it, and at the end, that's what gives it kind of that correct curvature. Okay. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. You can zoom back. Well, I'll do the eyes while you got it zoomed in. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a small round. This is a number 2 round. And I'm going to use the black. I'm going to outline the eye. And I've added a little bit of water to my heavy body acrylic so that it'll be smoother. You always want to do that when you're using a round brush. Just a little bit of water will help make it easier to control and roll the paint off your brush a little more smoothly. Okay. Whoa, it's got blurry. Must be picking up the end of my brush there. Picture. All right, so this is the outline of the eye. It's going to look really weird, but just trust this. We'll make it work. The painting on the chalk can be a little bit tricky too because it likes to pick up. It's kind of like painting on wet sand or something. It likes to pick up the grains of the chalk and it can be tricky. So I'm going to make sure that I get that pupil in rounded. Right, I want this bottom to be a semicircle.
What kind of brush are you using?
This is a Princeton Summit 6100.
Okay. They were just wondering what size it was. They missed it.
Yeah, it's the number 2 round.
Okay.
I just said it.
Well, I wasn't paying attention,
not paying attention,
and the person in chat wasn't paying attention, so thanks. They made me look like a fool. So, all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, I don't need any help, actually. Look like a fool.
Oh, goodness. Okay, that one, I don't like the angle of that. That's going to angle down more. Okay. Just making sure I get those. Take extra time with this, and just if you want to use a pencil to draw it, it might be easier. You can even draw it on paper first, just to make sure that you get it exactly the way you want it, and then use some transfer paper to transfer it onto your canvas. that's a possibility too, and can take some of the guesswork out of it when you're painting it yourself. I don't know why I ended up with the line straight out like that. I did not want that there. So I'm going to take a little bit of my background color, and the yellow oxide's not going to cover that black up, so I'm going to add a little bit of the unbleached titanium to it and just tap that over that. And it'll take a couple layers to cover that, but that's fine. You're actually we'll have white there eventually, so. And then this gets filled in right here. Okay, so there's our eyes. Let's do the nose part. The nose is black as well. And there's a light outline outside the nose, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Very carefully using the tip. If you want to, you can switch to a smaller brush for this if you give you more control. You're barely touching the tip down to do this. And then this shape kind of curves up right here and here, and then the nostril curves down. So it does this long curve shape like that, and then back up.
Okay, Jennifer wants to know, were you twisting your brush as you were painting those lines?
Which lines?
I'm guessing around the eyes.
No, not really. Not really, no. The only time I have to really twist it, I twisted to a point before I go to the, I twisted to a point on the palette really quick, so it's this kind of rolling action. I hold it with my thumb and just kind of pull my thumb towards me to roll it, or back and forth, kind of like you're rolling a cigarette, but you wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying, you know, like that.
But not while you're painting?
Not while I'm painting. Okay. That would be hard. But yeah, so that's the motion, and then that gives you a good point here, and then you can go to your canvas with that. All right, that's good. The nose looks a little uneven, so I'm just going to even that out a little bit. Okay, he's looking good. Clean that out. I'm going to switch to my angle brush. This is a larger angle brush, a 3/8 inch angle. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the black. I just realized I didn't do the stripes on his body, so there's some stripes here. I'm just going to tap to get those in. One here, one here. Most of this is covered up by hair, but you can see a little bit of it through, so we want to make sure that there's something there. And I'm just going to use the tip to kind of draw little shapes. The hair is going to be growing down this way, or kind of this way. There's one here, another one here. And then these ones are coming this direction. And most of this is covered by his mane. Is it called a mane on a tiger too? I know it's called a mane on a lion, but is that reserved only for lions, honey? I'm talking here.
It may be a goatee.
Maybe a goatee. They call it a goatee instead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, yeah. Tigers are cooler. They're okay. Now for the hair back here, you have to have dark, especially with this light fur like this. If you don't have anything underneath that's dark and you just try to put the white on top, even on top of the yellow, it won't give you any depth in the hairs. So we have to put a darker color under here. So this is going to look really weird. Again, trust me. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the unbleached titanium, mix that with the black here, to make kind of a light medium gray color, and we're going to, it might be a little dark, put a little bit more of the unbleached titanium in there. Yep, that's good. Okay, very good. And wherever I want that white hair to go, I'm going to put this dark color. So it's going to come all the way down here, and it's going to be all on this bottom chin and around the bottom chin. Actually, it doesn't go that far down, so I'm going to have it quite that far, because I do want this to be brown underneath here. I'm just looking at my drawing while I'm doing this. All right. And more on this side. It's about as far as we need to go. Up here, the hairs, even the white hairs, are on top of more of a brown color, so we can put dark brown in there and it'll be fine. Okay, see, I warned you that it was going to look weird before it looked better, so this is where we're starting to get weird.
Oh man, you've ruined it.
I know. It looks like you ruined it. You probably, yeah.
That looks like something I would do.
Acrylics, you got to go light. You got to go dark to light. You got to get those dark colors in there. The light ones won't have anything to have value against or have any kind of depth to them. So, all right, let's work on our bamboo while this dries. I want to let that black get plenty dry before we mess with it anymore. So I'm going to grab a number 8 bright. It's kind of about a 1-inch flat, maybe 3/4 inch flat brush. Actually bright. Flat would be longer, so this one's a little bit shorter. And we're going to use that. Oop, that's already dry. Look at that. And then I need to spray this down. These are drying.
People in chat are saying that the tiger looks Amish right now.
He looks Amish. Well, then this is for my friend Terry's husband, Ivan. He wants to be Amish, but apparently you have to be born into the family to be Amish, so he's out of luck. He wants to for real, like he... I'm not going to...
Enough.
I don't even know. She's got some good stories about some of the things Ivan did. He's hilarious. Yeah, and she's like, no. She's like, I like my electricity. Thank you very much. Will you zoom out so I can do the bamboo here? Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to use my chalk and just kind of draw out where I want my bamboo to go. And the first one's going to be pretty close to the edge there, so I'm just going to do kind of a line like that. And the other one, these are not perfectly straight, so don't feel like you have to do a perfectly straight line. I'm not getting out my ruler for this. And if they're a little bit off, you can kind of make one go in front of the other a little bit or something like that. You just kind of want them to be symmetrical. So there we go. Let's do one here. One here. And then a small one here and a bigger one right here. And then there's just some random leaves and things. Okay, so small. Actually, I want to make this one really big. Make it a little bit wider. There we go. Use your damp paper towel just to wipe off any chalk that you don't want. There we go. Okay, so put out some more phthalo green here.
So what are you mixing there?
I've got phthalo green and black. I added a little bit of burnt sienna to it too. It's kind of the same color as the background. And I'm going to go on the right side of these and pull to about the halfway mark, but I'm just kind of really flicking to sort of draw some a dark side on these. You might not need it if you did your background dark enough, but you'll be glad you did this if you have areas that you don't have dark enough. And then on these bigger ones, I'm going to curve it just slightly, so kind of curves down and back up. And going right against that line with my brush, and then just sort of flicking my wrist inward to get some little stripes in there. Press my brush nice and flat so that it's okay. If you get a little bit on the ear, just wipe it straight off. So I showed you how to do that earlier, so don't worry about that too much. And then I can go along that line and just kind of do a straight edge. Okay. Clean that out.
Okay, we got questions here.
Yes.
Just kind of read them as they show up, so
Okay.
hopefully you can understand them.
All right.
Why yellow ochre instead of reddish like sienna? The tiger is a little red.
Because he has more of the golden tones in his fur than the reddish, but you could use a burnt sienna instead, but it wouldn't look as good underneath the, well, like raw sienna is close enough. You could use raw sienna instead of the yellow oxide or ochre. Yellow ochre and yellow oxide are super similar, so you can almost interchange them. But the reddish tones wouldn't look as good underneath the green of the, because they're opposite on the color wheel. So the yellow tones are better for the greenery that was going underneath this. So that's why. Long answer, but
Okay, and then somebody asked,
adding some yellow to this background, this color that I was shading with.
what yellow are you using?
This one is cadmium yellow,
Cad
medium.
yellow? Okay.
But you can use Hansa yellow, medium
Okay.
instead.
So both are listed down below, Hansa and Cad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, either one. Okay, so got this lighter color. Just added a little bit of the cad yellow. And I'm going to go, this is very stylized bamboo. I did not waste a lot of time or spend a lot of time on the bamboo, but you can go as realistic as you want to with it. If you really want to, make it look realistic, by all means do that. I just felt like the tiger was the main focal point, so I wanted to make the bamboo fairly easy. So we're just doing kind of a simplified version of bamboo here. So I'm going along each one of these and doing stripes along the light side of it. And it's going to be similar to the background color, but it should be maybe a shade lighter than the background color, than that shadow color. Add a little bit of water to my brush every now and then to keep it moist, to keep the paints flowing. Only a little bit on this one. There we go. That make it show up a little bit better there. And then there's a little bit on this one here. All right, then I'm going to flatten my brush out really well, and I'm going to use the edge of it to pull in some leaf shapes. I'm just setting it down and kind of pulling it, running it along its flat edge, and turning it in whatever direction I want that leaf to go. So these ones are getting turned this way, and then I turn it straight, turn it a little bit more, turn it a little bit more. Let the brush do the work for you. But it'll kind of, oops, see, not being able to see that, sorry. Just kind of putting some light shadowy leaves back here. Sort of indistinct. Okay. And now one more layer, I'm going to grab a little bit of the unbleached titanium, mix that in with these other colors that I've got going on. Maybe add just a teeny tiny bit more of the cad yellow to brighten it up. Press it nice and flat. So I don't have a ton of paint on there, if you notice. And then I'm going to go in the middle of these bamboo shoots and do kind of a middle highlight on them, curving it just slightly. So it's going to kind of span the dark and light areas, more on the light side than the dark side, so kind of keep it just slightly closer to the light side of the bamboo. And I could put this all the way against the light side, but actually, because these are recessed and curved, there is going to be a shadow even on the light side of the bamboo. There's going to be a little shadow where that curves in, and the light's only going to hit, even if it's coming from this direction, it's only going to hit, it'll hit closer on this side than this side, but it's still not going to get down into that little crack right there. So that's why I'm not going all the way down into the center with this highlight color. I'm kind of keeping it in the middle. Because it might, you know, I think the normal idea would be, well, there's a light side and a dark side, but on something curved like this, it's really a little bit different. So it's not as clear as Star Wars.
I was just thinking that,
Were
actually.
You say light side, dark side, you got to think of Star Wars. It's just necessary. Okay, a little bit more of the yellow. And you can use this brush if you want to tap in your lines. We'll go over the dark area, and then we're going to have to shadow it. So we'll come back in with some shadows. Somebody said these look like books. She thought it looked like books at first. So, which it kind of does a little bit.
So we got another question regarding the green.
Okay. Said
that for the phthalo green blue shade, can you see the blue when you put it on the canvas? Or is it just like a blue tint? Or
yeah, it's just a little bit more on the blue side. So to get it closer to this one, you just add a little bit of yellow to it. So it's similar. It's just not quite as yellow as this green is. It's more of a blue-green. So it probably makes a beautiful teal. Okay, add a little bit more of that highlight color there. And I'm kind of I need to speed this up. I don't need to be spending so much time on this part. A little bit more of this highlight color here. Okay, there we go. Then let's use this light highlight color. We'll do a few leaves. So just like we did before, I'm just going to pull in a few leaves. There's kind of these palm leaves or something happening. Sort of find the center and just pick a spot and have them all kind of coming from that spot. Two ones down here. And a few up here. Okay, that's good. I think.
Yeah, people are saying the bamboo looks very 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doing that really dark. You just have to make sure you go dark enough, you know. That's the main thing, get that rounded look. Not too hard. And if you want to get really fancy, you can go back through and grab that shadow color and shadow underneath each one of your stripes here. So give it a little shadow there. That'll make it really pop out a little bit more even. Because that area is kind of ridged, so it sticks out. Go ahead and do that really quickly. And then you can lighten that color up. Just add some water to your brush, thin it out. Make sure these stripes are dry, and then just go over the ends of all of them with a wash of that dark color. And that will fade that rounded end back in to the background so they don't look like they're sticking up. And it'll also help with these leaves to kind of cover over a little bit of where they stick in, like just shadow a little bit of the tops of them. And that will kind of make them disappear into the bamboo a little bit better. So just in some of these areas where the light color might be sticking out. Okay, how are we on time? An hour. That's not too bad. Actually, I'm happy with that. We're on course.
At least you're having a good conversation over there.
Coke here. What?
I thought you were asking me how we were on time.
Oh no. Well, I just looked at the
clock.
clock.
You're talking to yourself. Okay.
Yep. Got my one Coke this week. I've been so good about my Cokes. I was having like one a day for a long time.
And that's Coca-Cola.
Exactly. Oh.
Just make sure everybody's
and
clear
if they
on
want
that.
to call for a sponsorship, we're always available.
That's right.
Links are down in the description for all my social media, so they're
right.
easy to
hit us up
to find me. Yeah. Goodness. Okay, I'm going to have you clean out my water if you don't mind there, honey. It is dark green. And while I've got that green, we'll go ahead and do the eyes. Oh, maybe I'll wait for Mark to get back because I need clean water. No, that's fine. That's fine. I can do other stuff.
You can just stick me.
No, that's fine. I've got things I can do. Okay, so I'm going to grab my number 2 bright. And we'll start putting in the fur that's around his face, around the stripes. So the main color for his orangey areas are yellow oxide, burnt sienna. So that's the color. And then we'll do a little darker version and add a little bit of burnt umber to it for some of the darker areas. Maybe a little bit more of the burnt sienna to keep it. So it's almost equal parts burnt sienna to yellow, maybe a little bit more yellow, and then just a little touch of the two darker colors. Actually, might make it a little bit darker than that. There we go. That's good. So we'll have kind of three values here going on. Really dark, kind of medium dark, and a little bit lighter. Add a little bit more yellow to this one. There we go. Okay, just by pre-mixing just a little bit of each one of these, it'll make it go a little bit faster for us when we're doing the tiger. So the area up here on his forehead is pretty dark, so I'm going to get my darkest value here and just tap that in around my stripes. And you can go over the top of them just slightly if you want to overlap them a little bit. And I'm leaving a little bit of the yellow kind of peeking through too. This will give this fur up here is very flat. The only place that you really need to use the rake brush is along the sides of the face here. But the rest of this, we can kind of mimic the fur just by kind of the direction that we're tapping these brush strokes in. And using a small brush like this, we can kind of get some fuzzy edges on it. So let's start with the dark in the center here. Tap, tap, tap. Tapping it in and around. We'll use the medium color to kind of transition these two. And this is actually all white. Most of this right here and here above the eyes is white. But this forehead area is pretty dark. So this is kind of the medium value color. Here, just tapping. I'm going a little bit darker than I think I need to. And we can go lighter on top when we get it all down. So. And we're also going to be covering up, we're going to be doing another layer of black to the stripes. So we can cover some of the edges just fine. It'll be okay. All right, let's get the lighter color. We'll transition those two areas with the lighter color. Because it's kind of these soft blends between the dark and light areas on his fur, so we don't want it just to have an end of the dark color. We want to have this kind of gradual blend, and we just do that by having these variations of shading. Some of this darker color along here. Grab some of that burnt umber, do a little bit darker right here. And the back side of his ear. We'll do the same thing on this side of his face. This is where I'm trying to be intentional about my brush stroke direction, because some of this is going to be visible. So I'm going to try to, as the hair grows up here, it's going this way, and as it comes down the face, it kind of changes direction and then comes down this way. So the center, I find on animals that the center of the nose, like right between the eyes right here, is kind of the best indicator of how the hair grows. So they'll grow down around the eyes. So if you point all of the hair in that direction, you pretty much are going to be okay. You know, some of it is not exactly that way all the time, but for the most part, if you kind of point all of the hair in whatever direction leads to the middle of the nose, you should be okay. Pretty safe bet. All right, let's do around the eye here. I'm keeping my brush fairly dry. But I do want to add a little bit of water to it so it's... There we go. This area right here is dark on either side of that center part of the nose. Remember, we kind of drew this little shape there, kind of go straight up from the nose on either side. I don't know if I did that on my drawing actually, but okay, there, and this area is dark. Up here under the eye, on either side. I'm starting to talk quietly. So, like I said, total ugly stage here. It's going to look worse before it looks better. We're going to be adding all these layers to him, and he's going to look a little bit mangy to start with. So that's normal. This is that medium value color there. I'm holding my palette because I want you to be able to see what I'm picking up. So if it's in the shot, let me know, and I'll put it down. But all right, we're going to start with some of our light color shades. So we're going to use light shades. That's an oxymoron. So I'm just adding a little bit of unbleached titanium to this color for some of these areas that are up here, because these are going to be starting to kind of be light, but I'm still going a little bit darker than I think the final shade's going to end up. So we're just going to add a little bit of this color in some of these areas where we want it lighter. Small little brush strokes. And I could go back to using the brush that I used for the black stripes too, if you liked it. So that would work just fine for this as well. This brush is going to give me a little bit more control. That's why I'm using it. A little bit up here at the top of the head. Grab a little bit of yellow. I feel like it's getting a little bit washed out. There we go. Should type in there. And
Oh, your drink comment has spurned a whole
Oh, no.
side conversation of drinks of choice, in particular.
Drinks of choice, yeah.
The good and bad of each drink choice.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to cut out the Cokes, so I've limited myself to one a week, which is hard some weeks because it's.
So somebody's asked, Joanna has asked, why are you not using a Deerfoot stippler right now with the dry brushing?
The Deerfoot's just a little bit too big for this area, and it's really not the texture that I want. I don't want it to look... the Deerfoot, is good for leaves and like rounded shapes, but for this, for the fur, I want more elongated shapes, not so rounded. I want them to be a little, like... hairs are more linear, and the Deerfoot does like round dots. So I don't really want dotted shapes. I want lines. That makes sense. But if you set it down and pulled with it, you could get lines. So, it would work. It would probably work if you just set it down and pulled with it instead of dabbed with it, instead of stippled. Okay, so we're just trying to get the values in now. We're slowly working towards our values, getting these lighter areas lighter than the yellow. But you can see how a lot of this area is the yellow is really pretty close to what our final color is going to be. So we're just adding a little texture to the fur right now. Little texture and kind of adjusting the values a little bit. This spot is closer to the edge of his face, but just noticing. Okay, let's do this on the nose now. Get that middle color and kind of go over the dark a little bit. And then we'll grab some of that lighter color and use the letter right up against the nose and pull this way. It's not going to be nearly bright enough yet, but we don't want to go too light too fast. The lightest color should be one of the last things you put on, so we want to save it. There we go. So right here, I got too much of my light color too high, so I picked up that medium color and just tapped it back over and pulled it down on top of the area to blend it back down to the color closer to what I want.
Okay. Sally wants to know, will a beginner be able to do this painting?
I think so. I mean, I think it's not, the brushstrokes are not actually all that difficult. I think probably the hardest part is the eye and the nose. But as far as the actual brushstrokes, as long as you're getting, following the lines, it may take you a while, but it's just kind of dabbing. I don't think it's going to be all that difficult.
So it's layers is the secret.
Yeah,
just
layers
layer
is
after
the
layer.
Yep. Just don't give up.
Depth.
Yeah, and don't give up, especially if this is your first painting. It might be a little bit daunting just because it's going to take so long, and you might feel like giving up. So you might want to do a couple paintings that are a little bit easier and faster just to get yourself familiar with using a brush and get a little confidence under your belt, so that because these long paintings like this, if you have to do it over 2 or 3 days, sometimes you can lose interest because they do get tedious. Like, this part especially is the tedious part where it's not going to look that great. So you're not getting that reward. The reward comes, very late in this painting. So you have to kind of, trust that it'll look better. And when it takes hours and hours and hours to get to the end, you know, some people give up. That's what I'm saying, you know, before the end. So, but yeah, if you're one that can stick with the painting, I would say definitely. Especially if you use the traceable, you know, don't try to draw it. If you don't know how to draw, I would definitely use the traceable. It's got all the stripes in here, and all you have to do is set it down and outline everything, and then fill it in. It's more like a paint by number at that point, and makes it a lot more accessible if you're just learning. I mean, I know some people think that that's cheating, but it's really not. Drawing and painting are two different things, and you don't need to know how to draw to be able to paint something beautiful. So use all of the tools available to you. And by all means, do learn to draw too, you know, but it'll help you with your painting for sure if you have a little bit of drawing skills. I'm adding a little bit more of burnt umber to this color, and I'm going to tap in right underneath the eye here. But drawing will help you see things better. So you'll see the little subtle differences in values and things easier if you do have a little bit of drawing experience. It just makes things a little bit easier to identify because you're actually training your brain to see differently. Not just use your hands. It's really, drawing is more about what you're seeing than what you're doing with your hands. Seeing things accurately and seeing the colors and values and seeing the shapes. That will help you in all of your art experience. So darkening up this center area here with another layer. You can see how that's really pulling those values out. Now it's really helping give them a little bit of dimension. All right, let's start with some of our white now. Grab our white, add a little bit of that unbleached titanium to it. So we've got a couple different ones. We've got pure white, we've got white with a little bit of unbleached titanium, and then with a little bit more white. So we'll use the middle one here first. It's going to be really, wow. Okay, so where we've got these areas here that need to be blended, we're going to grab the whatever color that's kind of in between these two and lightly tap those over. Just blend those while it's wet. Go a little over the white, and we can add some unbleached titanium and tap that back in. This will be the trickiest part, is this subtle shading. Try not to get it too striped, too obvious. These gradual blends like that. So that would be the hardest part, I think, for beginners, just to kind of be able to figure out how to do that. So maybe this is more of a, now that I'm thinking about it.
So, yes, it's not really a beginner's painting.
No, it's definitely not a beginner level. No, I wouldn't say that it was beginner painting. I would say it was more of an advanced painting. I'm not saying don't do it if you're, a beginner, but you may have a more difficult time of it. No, but yeah, sorry. No, I would not say this is beginner painting. That wasn't the question that you asked, though. You said, can a beginner do it? So, yes, technically you could. You could do anything you want. Will you have the greatest chances of success? Maybe not so much. Not with this one, at least. But if you're determined and you take your time, I think you can do whatever you put your mind to. Okay, so a little bit of white down here. I'm only being careful kind of right around the eye. I want that area to stay kind of smooth looking, but notice kind of where I've gone over my black here, that edge is not real perfect there. Okay. If you go too bright, that's fine. We can always tone it down later. I'd rather this around the eye be too bright than not bright enough. So we can always shade back over it with a little bit of wash of other color to tone it down if we need to. I don't know why I didn't bring that up further. This one goes all the way up to here. But we need more of that kind of middle unbleached titanium instead of pure white up here. Let's grab some of that tiger color here, that middle value color. Tap back down over the top of the white to blend it in. Just to transition those two colors a little bit. Grab the darkest color, blend that over the top. If I get my light too close, just blend a little bit of that over the top. Unbleached titanium here. Very, very light taps. Grab some of that more burnt sienna. Actually, I'm going to grab some burnt sienna and make kind of an unbleached titanium burnt sienna color for some of the redder areas around in here. Oops, I'm way off camera, hon. It's all right. Hmm?
You're behind the picture.
Mm-hmm. You can take the picture off now. Got that stripe too far down on that eye there. There we go. So tomorrow I'm going to be posting on my social media some of the top 5 comments Honestly, I didn't go that far back. I know I've got comments from years, to pick through. I just picked through the more recent ones that were the most meaningful to me, the most touching that I needed to hear at that time or whatever, that made a difference for me. And then there's several of us that are doing a Project Kindness or Comment Kindness, hashtag Comment Kindness initiative, where we're going to be reading off or posting our top 5 favorite comments from people that were kind and encouraged them to keep going. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and on YouTube there's a lot of opinions about what should you should be doing as a creator. I get all kinds of comments that are neither helpful nor encouraging. That are just based on personal preference or whatever. I don't even know sometimes where they come from, but we're just trying to kind of move in the opposite spirit and encourage people to find something nice to say or don't say anything at all on YouTube. Because we all deal with negativity in our lives. If you wouldn't say something to somebody in person, probably ought not to say it on YouTube. It's just kind of a good, or anywhere else on social media. It's just, I think that we forget sometimes that there's real people sitting on the other side of their computers. It's easy to say unkind things because you know that you're never going to see them in real life. So just trying to encourage people to think before they post something that might be unkind. Try to make an intentional, I'm grabbing black here, be intentional about the way you're posting and post in kindness as often as you can. So that'll be on Facebook tomorrow. I was going to do a video, but we're going to probably be traveling at some point, so I just don't think I'll have time to do a video. I really wanted to, but we do. I will have that up on Facebook for sure, in my groups and on public. So I got this stripe kind of weird here, so I'm just going to tap over it. Adjust it a little bit. There we go. So anyhow, I don't know. That was a long explanation. Just to say, I so appreciate the 99.9% of you that comment nicely and often. It means so much to us. You don't even know. And sometimes you don't even realize that, I may have had a really bad day, and I've had a rough month with people making comments about me that were either untrue or definitely unkind on YouTube and social media. And so sometimes your kind comment comes at a really nice time, not just for me, but for other people too, not just those who are on, YouTube, but anybody. And I think we forget to make the people that we know and see daily, they don't get the kind comments from us is either, because we kind of take it for granted that they know how we feel. But so take a second, let 5 people or more know how you feel about them. It will.
Hey, we forgive the person who gave a thumbs down to your video yesterday
before it even aired.
When you posted the link.
Yeah, I know.
So 24 hours before it even started, they already didn't like it.
They already knew that it was going to suck. So that's just, they already know that I suck. So
those are the people that we're doing this hashtag kindness for. Hey.
Yeah.
We still like you.
Yeah, we're
we'll
We'll
overcome
be praying for you.
exactly. We'll overcome the hatred and the
That's right.
and the ugliness with just kindness.
Yep. Yep. That's all you can do sometimes. Okay, so we're going to keep on going here. I've got my pure white here. And I've just been touching in with different varying shades of white here while I was talking. So if you... Most of it was that kind of unbleached titanium color. But just trying to kind of transition some of these light to dark areas here. There's some really bright highlights under the eye. Really make them pop out. And the edge of the eyes have these kind of lash type fur, so I'm kind of tapping at an angle on the outside of the eyes to give that a little bit of fuzzy edge on either outside. All right, now the cheeks. How are we doing on time? 43. Yeah. Well, actually, we might be 2.5 hours. I was gonna. Anything under 3 hours is going to be good. So for as long as it took me to do the example. I'm really trying to book it here and go as quickly as I can. Let's get some of the unbleached titanium. I don't want it pure white down here, especially closer to the cheeks. So.
Okay, somebody wants to know, is there a reason why the white part on the ears are different sizes?
It's just the photograph. They this ear I think was, you know how they can tilt them individually, and this ear I think was just kind of flattened out more towards us, and this one was kind of angled away from us a little bit more. So that's the only reason. This one's probably too big though. I think I'm gonna bring the black up there on that side. I'm just going by the picture, but if it bugs you, fix it. I mean, honestly, I'd change things like that all the time. If you make them exactly the same, if it's, you know, if it's gonna bug you, it's your painting, you know.
I could probably paint the tiger in tall grass.
There you go. Just the eyes kind of sticking out or something.
Well, I probably just want to see anything. Just the grass.
Just grass.
But say, no, there's a tiger in there.
There's a tiger.
Yeah.
You can see him. Those are the tigers you don't want to see, though. Because that means they're sizing you up for lunch, probably.
Oh, we got a shout out for your nails.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my copper color. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been somebody that we've seen post on Instagram that's been using your videos as inspiration to paint on their nails.
Unreal.
In miniature.
They did the toucan, little miniature toucan, and then the mushrooms.
Yep. It's pretty
the
awesome
little fairy
stuff.
garden mushrooms. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. That is true talent, because there's no way I would do that. I may be on somebody else's nails, but definitely not on mine, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to grab my black here. I'm seeing a little bit of, this is curved in a little bit more right here. And I'm going to bring this up here on the ear. There we go. That's probably closer to the size it needs to be. Let's use a little bit of the gray color. Got a little bit of black on here. I'm going to just go ahead and use that on the tips of these ears while I've got it out. Go ahead and take that picture off, hon. It's getting in the way.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just going to zoom out some because people were asking for it to be back.
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to listen to them.
Okay, do it. Yeah, then you got to pay attention and let me know when I'm not on camera then.
I might have to rethink that then.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying. Do you really want to do that?
Okay, so everybody else, if she goes off camera,
It's your fault.
no, it's whoever in chat who asked for the picture-in-picture to be back. You know who you are.
Grab black, and I'm going to shade just on top here. Here and a little bit right here. So I put in some gray. Wipe that off and just blend it in a little bit. Put down wet paint, tap off your brush with, get the extra off. And then just tap back in with the dry brush to kind of blend it in a little bit. That shine spot is bugging me. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit more of the light gray, even lighter, and just do a light highlight. I'm just going to tap in a light highlight along the tip of the ear there. Pull. Maybe use my finger to kind of tap it out. Just pull a little highlight there so it shows up against that green. I'm just using the corner of the brush here just to kind of tap in lightly. There we go. Let's do the same thing on this side. Just a little difference in the value there so you can kind of see that the ear, where the ear is against that bamboo. Okay, good. Well, let's put some of this gray down here in the muzzle too, down in lower area, this lighter gray. And this little area is going to go pretty fast. You'd be surprised at how fast it goes when we start using the rake brush. So the longest part is going to be, getting this fur up here done, and we'll use the rake brush a little bit up here to just kind of fine tune a few things, but for the most part, we're going to do all of this up here with the small bright, the number 2 bright.
Did you get white on
What?
bamboo?
Oh, I sure did. When did I do that? I probably had it on the back of my thing here. Hopefully it's wet. No, it's not. When did I do that? There, it came off. It was dried paint. It came off of something.
Oh, okay.
It crumbled off of something.
We almost had to start all over again.
Scrap the whole thing.
That's right.
Just paint over the whole thing in gesso. I've had people say they were going to do that. Like they got 99% of the painting done and they had like one more layer and it just still wasn't looking the way they wanted to. And we're like, I think I'm just going to gesso over it. And I'm like, no, it's that last layer that usually goes from mediocre to finished, or from, it's amazing. So if your painting is not, I actually read a really interesting article. I think I shared it in one of my groups today. It was about creativity and how to increase your chances for being more creative. And it not just with art, like with everything in your life, with work, anytime that we're more creative and can kind of think outside the box, it can help us. And it has to do with left and right brain. Working together, right brain always gets all the credit for creativity, but you have to have that left brain stuff, the analytical part, in order for a plan or a creative idea to actually be implemented. So it's kind of, they have to work together. And they talked about different things. One of the things was being more childlike, which is one of the things that I talk about with painting, about how children, embrace the... I'm using a little bit watered down color and going in some of these areas that are still showing too much of the yellow oxide and just kind of tapping in there to fill in some of those gaps. It's changing the tone. This is where if we got too light in one area, we can just wash lightly with some of this darker color now once that white is dry and blend those in a little bit more. I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, the creativity thing. So yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. They were saying, doing things like reading your phone upside down and writing and brushing your teeth with your left hand, with your non-dominant hand, and things like that can help you force your left and right brain to work together. And the more you can do that and get comfortable. This is a little bit of unbleached titanium with a little bit of the yellow color there. Just going to tap in and kind of pull some streaks. So yeah, I don't even know why I started talking about that, but who knows why I talk about anything in here. I got 2 hours to talk.
Gotta talk about something.
Exactly.
No dead air.
No. I know some people really don't like voiceovers, or they really don't like music with the videos and have opinions about that. So, but I'm like, it's either silence or, I didn't really have anything to say, so I had to fill it with something. You gotta either talk or have complete silence. It's probably, I'd rather have a little bit of music or something to listen to than that turtle video ended up having some music in it. So. Okay, let's keep on with the white here.
But I do feel kind of cheated because I only have one brain.
Titanium. What?
I only have one brain. I'm jealous of you artists who have 2 brains.
When we're saying left brain and right brain, we're talking sides of your brain. You have 2 different sides of your hemispheres.
Is that looking at me or me looking at you?
What are you talking about?
Is it my left, or left, your left?
It's opposite of your, I think, isn't it? No, it's this is your right side, this is your left side.
Yeah, but okay.
And
so
then,
you're
but
not
your left
joke.
side of your brain controls your dominant hand, I think.
Okay, no, you didn't get my joke.
What?
I said, is it my left, is it my left, or is it you looking at me, your left?
I know, I got that. That's what I was saying.
Okay, never mind. We'll get back to painting.
It would be the same side as if it was my left and your left. Is that what you're saying? No.
Because your left is on my right.
Got it. You don't.
She's deep into painting. I can't mess with her like that.
Don't mess with me right now.
This is where it gets fun, folks.
This is where he's going to be put in the corner if he doesn't stop messing with me.
Uh-oh.
Not really.
Adult timeout.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being repressed. I hope people know by now that we're joking. For those of you who are first time, I apologize right now because we're pretty much, we take our art seriously, but we take everything else with a grain of salt. We're try to have fun with it. Make it as approachable as possible.
That's right, because you're supposed to be having fun doing art, not stressed out about it.
Exactly.
It's a stress reliever.
Yes, that's the whole point. Yep. Embrace the imperfections. If you're just learning, just try as much as you can. I mean, I'm not saying don't, try your best at it. Practice as much as you can, but give yourself a break. If you were picking up guitar or, learning something else new for the first time, you wouldn't expect yourself to excel at it from the first time you started. I mean, unless you're a prodigy or something, and didn't know it. First time you pick up a brush, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward, and you're probably not going to be able to paint as comfortably as you might hope for. It may not turn out exactly the way you wanted it to, but that's kind of all part of the process. It just takes time and practice. It'll get better and more comfortable for you the longer you do it, just like anything else, another new skill. So just because anytime I hear somebody that says, I don't have any artistic ability, I'm like, you don't know if you've never tried. So, I mean, it may not come easy to you. Nothing comes easy. I definitely struggled with painting when I first started at it. It did not come easy to me. I worked at it very hard for a long time before it started to kind of click for me, and I started to get comfortable with it. And I painted other people's tutorials for, years, probably 5 or 6 years before I got comfortable and started designing my own things. So don't feel like, you have to get out there, that you're not artistic enough if you don't try it for the first time and just astound all your friends. Okay, so just kind of picking up here between these two colors, again, between the light and the dark, I'm just picking up a transition color, kind of the next middle ground between the two, and just kind of tapping over those. Starting to take shape. Just keep on going around the corner here. Grab the unbleached titanium for these darker areas. Now it's lighter, but it's a shadow area, so it's not as bright as some of these other areas. And this is our first layer, so we're going to have, well, it's really our second layer, but it's our first layer of the lighter color. All right, get some more unbleached titanium. Let's do around the nose. Little tapping brush strokes. There's probably an easier way of doing this, but this is the way I did it, so this is the way I'm going to show you. You can figure out a better way or easier way if you want to.
Yeah, I'll pay somebody to do it.
By all means.
Or have you do it for me. That'll be really easy for me.
Well, I was trying to get to, doing it like this and have... It just didn't look right. I just had to keep on going because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So that's kind of with any painting. You just keep on going until you think it's where you want it to be. And sometimes I'll set it out in my living room and look at it for a few days when I get stuck. Oh, that was what it was. That's why... Now I come back down. Now this is why I was talking about the creative thing. It said one of the ways to reboot your creativity, that if you've set with the project for a long period of time, that you get your kind of right brain sort of shuts off, and you can get kind of get stuck. And that the best thing to do is just take a break from it. Set your project aside and come back to it later. And I do that all the time with my paintings. When I get to a place where I'm a little bit stuck, especially if you're sitting right here next, right here on something, you'll miss things. You'll start seeing things it's really weird, but you won't see things that seem obvious later when you're sitting right on it and you're, okay, now I've got the pure white here. So I'm going to do the pure white right close to the nose here, just on this part. Pull it this way. And I do that all the time, even with these tutorials. There's been a couple of times where I've done stuff and I'll forgot a whole step, forgot a spot on my rooster the last time I painted the rooster, whatever that ear spot was on it. And I've forgotten, shadows on things before, and, because you just get going and you don't see things sometimes. And sometimes it's minutes later after I stop the video and I'm like, especially with these live shows, because you can't go back in and record that later. You just kind of have to hope that people saw. But all that to say that if you get stuck on your painting, if you get to the point where you're like, you just don't see what to do next, just set it down, go have lunch, set it out in your living room, or you'll see it, come back to it in a day or even an hour later, and it'll hopefully be a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, grabbing more bright white now. So we're going to start our final layer with the white. This is just the final layer on these cheeks here. And I say final layer, really we're going to have a little bit of rake brush too still. I'm just going to brighten up just a few of these spots where I want the white to be a little bit more prominent. Right here on the nose, above the nose, there's some white. Setting it down and just pulling upward. Lightly. And grab that unbleached titanium and go over that a little bit with unbleached titanium to soften up that white. And then we'll put a few of these little brush strokes in the center of the nose. Short ones I find are a little bit better than those really long ones. You just kind of want to keep them somewhat short, easier to control. If you get to, actually up here I'm going to pull some long ones though. Just to kind of get it to blend into. Okay. Gonna look really weird. That's okay. We'll put some highlight over the top, or shadows over the top of that to blend it back in. Let me grab some of that darker color right here. That one got a little too far to the side. And so we'll tap that darker color over the top a little bit. It'll tone it down. I'm going to let that dry completely though before I wash my other color on top.
Hey, I'm answering our questions over here.
Okay.
People are asking questions, and
Nice.
I've written down the answers.
Oh, you're smart.
For some of the more frequently asked.
Nice.
So I don't have to bother you. So you can just keep
Very cool.
talking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But now I've told you that, so now I've broken it up.
That's okay. Well, I was wondering what you were doing. Okay, so now I've got the black. Now this is going to be our kind of final layer on some of these black stripes. So I'm just going to tap in. And I'm using this brush because it'll give me a little bit more control. But I can still get those kind of fuzzy edges by just kind of tapping. That brush is already kind of separating on me a little bit. So I'm getting good. Good choppy lines. This is where I can put back in some of my stripes that might have disappeared on us when we put our dark colors in. And I find that having these underlayers is what really gives your painting some interesting depth. So having these kind of layers of half-formed color or color on top of color in some of these areas is what makes it much more interesting than if I had just done a clean stripe. That's just my preference, but you can be as clean about it as you want. Do your own style if you have a style that you like better, by all means. using the corner of my brush to kind of just tap in some little indistinct. And I don't have a whole lot of paint left on my brush. So now when I have a lot of paint on my brush is when I do the more middle of the spots, ones. But then when it sort of runs out, that's when I can do these kind of ones that I want a little bit more faded. So like underneath the eye here, there's a few spots that sort of get lost in the fur. They're kind of there, but you're not seeing them real distinctly. Okay, a little bit more. I'm going to spray my canvas palette in. How you doing, hon? Hanging in there?
I'm staying awake over here.
Good.
For some reason, the dogs decide to sleep right under my feet today instead of where he's supposed to be.
Is he under your feet again?
Yeah, so it's kind of uncomfortable.
He's on your feet. Directly on your feet.
Yeah.
He loves his daddy. Daddy doesn't really care a whole lot about him, but he tolerates him for me. No comment. He's not even.
I'm trying to figure out why my tablet's not charging over here. Okay. Crisis averted.
Good.
I think said dog may have knocked the plug out a little bit.
Ah. That makes sense. Okay, just going into the center of these and doing a little bit darker in a few of them. Little tapping motions. If you have a tiny rake that's this size, I would use that, but I don't, so that's why I'm using this one. If you have a comb brush or a rake brush that's this little smaller size, you can fit in these tiny little spots. It might be more convenient to use that. Just kind of defining some of these. He's coming along pretty well, I think. We may end up having to do another layer of the black again on top of some of them when we put our last layer of white down with our rake brush, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, I'll fill in some of this time with more tiger facts.
Okay, do it.
Tigers are the largest wild cats in the world.
Ooh, bigger than lions, really? Wow, that's surprising.
That's what the internet says, so I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, it's got to be true. It's on the internet.
And they're carnivores. I think we all knew that.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
And tigers like water. And
I
they're
did
good
know
swimmers,
that.
so that's
I
how they
did know
got
that.
that's how they got to Australia.
Stop. Oh my gosh. Mark's like, Scar. You made her laugh.
Finally.
It's like your goal in life. It's not a bad goal. I don't mind.
They found fossils of tigers in parts of China that are believed to be over 2 million years old.
Wow. Are they saber-toothed or regular tigers? I guess they're
They
probably
just said
regular.
tigers, yeah.
Cool.
Let's see what else we have here. Every tiger in the world has unique stripes.
Well,
No two of the
cool.
same stripes.
kind of like zebras.
I guess so. They didn't make that comparison here. I was thinking more like fingerprints, but...
True. Snowflakes.
Mm-hmm.
You're a special snowflake. Just like a tiger. You could start saying that. That's a good one.
I don't think anybody's called me a snowflake before.
It's about time. Okay. This dark line here connects over there.
Oh, yeah, somebody reminded me of the liger.
Oh, yeah. Those are pretty cool animals.
But I don't know if they happen in the wild, though.
No, pretty much sure they probably don't. Yeah, no, I would say
Their
no.
families would probably disown them.
I think so. Get a lot of discrimination.
That's right. Eight to 10 feet long. That is a big cat.
That's how long they are?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
8 to 10 feet. That's as long as my table here. 8 feet. No, this is table 6 feet?
I don't know. Here, I'll get the tape measure out. Hold on a
No,
second.
that's all right.
No, I'll get
I
it
don't
out.
know why I ask stuff like that. It's really not important, honey.
See, the longer the videos go, the stillier I get. So
Well, I know at least
here
it's
comes the tape
it's
measure.
as tall as the ceiling from in here.
Here we go.
Get away from me. With that.
Just trying to measure.
I'm sorry. I should not have asked that. I knew better. I knew better. That's all I have to say. Okay. All right, let's get this nose and eyes going here. We're about done with his stripes, almost. Let me fix the top of the nose here. This is dry now, so I'm going to grab some of this medium color that we mixed for his body and just kind of put some light wash of that color over the top. So what it'll do is tint that lighter color underneath, but it'll still be a little bit more water there. It'll still be visible through. So you still see the texture there, but it'll be a little bit lighter. you can adjust your colors. Okay, I'm going to grab some burnt umber here. Do some dark burnt umber right up next to that dark eye, around that eye. And shade on this side of the nose. Just a little bit of watered down burnt umber here. Just darken up that shadow right here on either side of that nose. Alrighty. He's got a couple spots that I missed. There we go. All right, I'm going to grab some of my lighter color here. Mix a little bit of unbleached titanium with color, the fur color. Get a highlight color there. I'm going to go in here and just lightly dry brush, kind of lightly brush in a few highlights in some of these little areas here. Right there. Okay, that's better. Maybe a little bit right here. I'm going to grab some unbleached titanium and some red. Just a little bit of red. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. We'll use that for our nose color. Just filling that in carefully. We'll let that dry and we'll add some shadows and highlights on it here in a minute. Grab some my burnt umber and some of my middle color here. I'm noticing there's some shadows right above the nose right here on either side. That one's not as, there we go. Just small little things. Grab some unbleached titanium and put a little bit more of that bright color right there around the side of the nose. Just tapping a line around that nose, nostril. Kind of wraps around quite a bit. Okay, we still have people watching, or we lost everybody now?
Oh no, there's people watching for sure.
Good. Makes it way more fun for us having people watching, that's for sure.
It would be really odd if we were just in here talking to each other.
It would be.
But we kind of are.
Huh?
We kind of are just talking to each other. You're talking to me. I'm not paying attention.
Exactly. How is that different from every other day?
from later on tonight.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, wetting down the paint a little bit. Wetting down this middle color here again. And I'm going to put a little bit of that color in here. Just on the dark kind of curved area. That muzzle. Right there. Alrighty. Let's do the eyes and then we will pull out the rake brush. I'm going to grab a small angle brush. I thought I grabbed it, but I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. So this is a 1/4 inch angle, and this is my good one, not my one that's all fuzzy. I'm going to use this for the eyes. So I'm going to get rid of all that chalk before I do, so it makes it easier to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to mix up some of the green like what was in the bamboo. So it's that green and burnt sienna, yellow, green, burnt sienna. A little bit of yellow oxide. There we go. And I'm just going to use this to kind of glaze over the eye. I want that yellow oxide to be visible underneath, so just trying to get it as smooth as I can. There we go. That kind of lime green color.
That's kind of freaky just as it is.
I know.
Just leave it like that.
You leave it like that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. I'm going to have to let that dry, and I'll come back to it here. I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber. Water it down a little bit, and I'm going to tap in around the eye above it and below it, just to kind of shadow that white that's around. This one already had it, but there we go. Just a little bit. Grab some black. I'm going to go along the bottom edge of that eye. Probably ought to do this with a liner brush, this part, but I'm a rebel. I don't want to clean up my brush. Get a little bit of white. Mix that with the black. Whoop, I'm not seeing it, sorry. Actually, it needs to be a little bit more black. Just a light gray color at first. Go right up underneath the eye with that. Yeah, I think it'll be easier with a different brush. I'll wait until I put in my highlights.
Are you going to give them that smoky eye look? It's popular, I see. I hear. No? No comment? Nothing? Just leaving me hanging here. Okay.
Smoky eye, huh? Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of unbleached or burnt umber on the tip of my brush here. Put a little bit of burnt sienna with it. Tap off the end so that it's clean, and I'm just going to run that along the bottom of the nose to shadow that red a little bit. Okay, that color just wanted to lift so that red was not completely dry. Wait till your nose is completely dry to do that.
Good life lesson. Always wait till your nose is dry.
Exactly. Tap back in the black. All right, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush just to make it easier to get some of these details in. So I'm going to grab the number 1 round here. I could use a liner too if you wanted to. Grab a little bit of red and a little bit lighter red, make like a shade lighter than what you had there. We're going to tap in some lighter color right around the top of just above the nostril. And there's a little bit of texture on the nose, so I'm just going to tap these little bitty circles to give little bitty brush strokes to give it some texture. Let's grab a little bit of that darker red color, tiny bit of the burnt umber or burnt sienna. We'll tap that in over the top of our shading there, blend that in a little bit more. A little bit darker. There we go. A little bit lighter color here. That happens when I don't tap my brush off on my paper towel. When I get going too fast, I stop. When you clean out your brush, always tap it on the paper towel. Otherwise you get those little dots. Okay. Grab some of that darker color. There is a little bit darker right here. That white doesn't come all the way over there. Okay. Alright, he's looking pretty good. Get the black. Clean up that and split right there. Any other lines that have gotten out of whack, make a little bit of gray. We'll tap in a little bit of gray in this area, there and there. There's a little bit of a highlight right there. Okay. I'm going to tap a little bit of that gray on the top of the nose right here too to break up that black line. Grab a little bit more of that white. Create that light gray for the lid. Go all the way up and stop about where that curves down. So right about to right here, do your lid. And then there's a highlight on the inside of each one of these too, just a little bit. And maybe dab just a little bit to show some texture on the inside of the eyes. It should be dry enough. I'm going to get the bigger brush. I feel like that little one was just not doing great for me. Okay, so I'm going to grab the burnt sienna and I'm going to float. So I'm going to dip just the tip of the angle brush in that color. Grab a little bit of burnt umber as well. Burnt umber, burnt sienna. It's going to create that dark reddish brown color. It's good. Find a spot, clean spot on your palette. Add a little water to your brush. Needs to be a little bit fluid. And the idea is to keep the color on the tip, so I want to pick up a little bit of water and just dab off that back end of the brush so that it's clean. And we're going to go right along the top edge of that eye. Put a nice dark shadow in right there. Do the same thing on this side. Okay. See, already you're getting some depth in there. We'll let that dry and we'll do another one here in a minute. Come back to it. To be continued. We'll put in the pupil while we're waiting. Got some black. A little bit of water in my paint to soften it up. Get that small round brush, and I'm going to draw in my pupil. Only seeing the bottom half of it. Top of it is covered by the eye. Remember, we've got that circle going on up here that the lid is cutting off. Really important. This one's got, they're kind of curved. There we go. Now he's looking like a tiger. This is where you can kind of clean up if you got very carefully. He already looks pretty fierce there, huh? We'll let that dry. Let's grab the rake brush. So this is where you're going to be really, really glad if you invested in the texture set or have a comb brush, because this will make this whole process go a lot faster. If you didn't have one, what you could do is use a round brush or an angle brush. You've seen me do, like when I did the grass last week, or when I did these up here, you would just end up with a little bit thicker hairs, and that's fine. So don't feel like they have to be super fat. See how thin I can get those lines? I would just have to keep going and, you know, put lots of them in to fill in the whole tiger. But with the rake brush, it's got me that much wider. So I'm gonna use my white here, and I'm gonna add water. Found that it was a little easier to use when it was a little bit more fluid on the paint. Just rolled off the brush a little bit easier. I've got little clumps in my paint. I may have to put out fresh paint because it's starting to dry. Let's scrape it off there so I don't have, there we go. Okay, I'll start up on the cheeks here and we can work down. I feel like I've got his cheeks a little bit wide on this guy's got more jowly than my first one was. He is more jowly. So I'm gonna put in a few. I don't even know what I did right here. This is not even what I wanted. Not even close. I'm gonna bring that whole line in.
You whispering to yourself?
I know. I'm just realizing. I don't know. It was my drawing. I'm sure this morning I drew it. I didn't use my traceable. I drew it again. So my drawing got a little off on this side. Oh, whip that brush out of myself. Okay. Oh. Just don't unplug anything. My footrest.
Yeah. everything goes
That
dead.
would be bad. Okay, so this side, he needs a facelift on this side. So you're gonna bring that in quite a bit right here. And same thing on this side. I'll just bring it up a little bit. It was just a little bit too wide. There we go. Not exactly sure what happened there, but okay, so that happens. That's fine. You can make adjustments. I'm gonna bring this in this way. This whole area is gonna be more at an angle here and here. Just try to get them pretty even if you can. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now I've got all this black I need to cover up. I'm going to use the unbleached titanium and just tap over that. Kind of turning that gray there, but that's okay. We'll fix it. There we go. This side wasn't as bad. I may bring it up even more. There we go. What are you giggling about over there?
We're saying hello in different languages.
Oh, that's cool. See, I miss out on all that stuff. I'm just sitting here talking.
So they say hey in Sweden.
For hi?
Yeah,
Really?
but it's spelled H-E-J,
Ah,
not
neat.
H-E-Y like we spell it here in the U.S.
That's cool. Okay, and small adjustments here, but there we go. I will let that dry. All right, so I'm going to start up here with this rake brush and just tap in some little fine hairs. Make sure I know what direction they should be going. Very fine hairs kind of coming down over the black right here. Very small little tapping brush strokes. And I don't want to go in a straight line with these because they'll end up with like a repeat pattern. So you just have to be kind of conscious when you're using this to kind of, I'm just subtly turning my brush a little bit each time I do. So a slight different bit of the brush is, I'm kind of rocking it back and forth as I'm tapping so that it, otherwise it'll create these lines of repeat, repeat, repeat. And you don't want that. Or maybe you do. But if you want it to look more realistic, you don't want that, I should say.
Don't tell me what I want.
Exactly. Exactly, you might. Who
That's
knows?
right. I just might.
All right, I'm going to go over the black here. Go up into the ear. And grab a little bit more of the yellow for this part. Yellow oxide here. Little hairs. Oh, I'm totally off camera, honey.
You must have just gone off because you've been down in that lower section
I
the
know,
whole time.
I just went up. I didn't know
All
we
right.
were so zoomed in. That's fine. So we're just breaking up the edge of the ear here. Just pulling some of that hair out over. Grab some of the middle color, a little bit of the darker color, and we'll use that darker color that's right there. Pull some of that over the top too. Okay, do it over here. Don't want it that far down. Let's wipe that off and get the white again. A little bit of the yellow oxide. When I say yellow, I'm talking about yellow oxide here with the fur.
You'll need to talk a little louder because of the air conditioning that's on.
Okay. That's all right this time of year. It's just gonna have to happen.
Yeah, but they still want to hear you.
No, I know. I'm
So-
just saying that it's gotta.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind talking louder as long as
That's
I can
right.
have air conditioning. Okay, tapping in. This is white and yellow oxide here. So just a few of these areas here where there's some obvious transition between dark and light areas. With longer hair starting to grow. Grab some white and do some lighter colors. And blend a little bit with what's there. And I'm making sure that I'm changing the starting point so I don't have a line. It's that repeat thing. So instead of going straight across on a line, I'll go up and down just slightly so that I get some variation in the lines. This is white, but it's mixing with some of these other yellows and things that I've got on my brush, so it's not pure white. Let's go over this area now. That should be dry enough. See how that covers right up. No problem. Okay, pulling some very small, short brush strokes so that those, we can see a little bit of the hair coming down over the top in some areas. If you get too much, just grab your black and go go back in with the black and just clean it up. In fact, we can use that black with gray and do some gray stripes in some of this black for, whoa, not that much. Press down too hard. Okay. I'm going to clean that out. So I got some clean. Most of this down here is pure white, so I've done a lot of the parts that are other colors. I do want to get a little bit of burnt umber and do some hairs along the top here with the burnt umber going up over the white. Right there. And a little bit again right here. Now we're going white. Brush flat. Get it wet enough so that it makes lines for you. You can test it on your palette if you need to. You should be able to see little lines like that happening. They should come off really easily. You barely have to touch to get lines. So if it's not coming off your brush, you just need to add a little bit more water to your paint until it flows better. Press your brush nice and flat. Let's start on this area here. Just tap, 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 tap lightly at first, because there's a lot of gray showing through in this area. You can zoom in now if you want.
I won't get in trouble, will I?
No.
All right.
Go ahead and zoom in. And I'm just going to use the edge of my brush to just tap in a little bit of color, and then I'm going to start pulling it to the side just a little bit and down. Short brush strokes. As they get farther down the chin, they get longer. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge right here because I need to get some of these hairs in underneath first, but I wanted to start on this one. It's going to need a couple layers. Okay. A bit more white. Let's start on the cheek right here. Zoom out just a little bit, honey. It's a little tight. There. That's good. That's good. I just wanted to be able to see where on the tiger I'm working. Okay, so I'm going to come right up under here and start, and these brush strokes are going to kind of come down there this way. So add a little bit of yellow oxide. Do some up here. Around the side of the face. Sorry. I knew we were zoomed in. I still did that. That's on me. Okay. And these ones are coming out. Remember, we kind of brought the face in a little bit farther than we needed to, so this is where we're going to go over the top of that bamboo. We'll be glad we had that under there. So let's put some of this down here. Just realized we didn't do anything down on his body. He needs some of this down here. Need some attention. Let's get some of that color that we mixed up before. I don't have any left, so I'm going to have to mix up a little bit of burnt sienna and yellow oxide. Tiny bit of brown. That was our fur color. We'll just tap that in. Go really dark under here. Yellow oxide, burnt sienna here. Burnt umber, I mean. Yeah, I just neglected this whole area here. Need more water. It's starting to stick. I'm not getting fur, I'm just getting kind of blobs. Same colors that we used on the face. I just didn't bring them down here and do the body yet. So going a little bit darker right in this area though. Not as much as the highlight colors. Get a couple layers in there. Here we go. Grab a little black. And lightly going with the black. Put in your stripes.
Somebody wants to know how much pressure are you putting on
Not
the
a lot,
brush?
not at all. Yeah, very,
light.
very little. It's super. Yeah, you just let because if you press down too hard, you're going to get this part of the brush coming in contact. You only want the very tips touching. So you're very, very lightly just tapping and kind of stroking in whatever direction you want the hairs to go.
So the Rake brush is called a comb brush, and the Brush Guys list, the link down in the description to the Brush Guys for 5% off on your list there.
Yes.
It is in the
Texture set.
It is in the soft grip short handled texture set.
Yes.
Yep. So you get 5 brushes for $9.95.
Yeah, I said that at the very beginning.
And then 5% off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That's a great deal.
It is a great deal.
Well, I just said it at the end.
I know you did. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying.
Can you tell I'm getting tired? Again, snotty. I'm like, okay, getting a little bit more black. While I got this on my brush, I noticed I needed some dots in here for I'm just using the corner of my brush here to put in some. It's not working very well for that. I probably need just to get my round brush out. There's some little black stripes in the chin here. Clean that out. It's kind of just a matter of going back and forth with these colors. You always want to layer the ones underneath first. So the bottom layers work from the bottom layers up to the top. So really I shouldn't have done this quite yet. I should have done the yellow underneath first and then come to the top. So you can wait to do that part. I was just so excited to show you how to work it, the Rake brush. Okay, a little bit of yellow oxide with my unbleached titanium here. Wet it down enough. So we'll do some more of these layers here. This does have a little bit more white to it. So I'm going to grab a little bit of white so I've got both colors on my brush. So I picked up I've loaded it with this lighter color, this yellow color, but then I've kind of just run it through the white puddle that I had. So I'll have a little bit of white on the tips of it as well. So it's going to give me both colors. And if I turn it on its side, I can get these kind of longer, thicker ones where they kind of clump together in some places. And then if I run it flat, I'm doing some up and some down, so they're kind of crisscrossing in places. That'll be really helpful too, so that you don't have them all going in the same direction at the same time. That's the main thing with for anything like that. You're really wanting to get soft blends between your transitions and soft blends in your overlapping so that you don't have any obvious repeat patterns. That is the thing to avoid if you're going for realism in nature. Those repeat patterns are going to look artificial. So you can see where having that gray underneath, hopefully you're starting to see where that gray underneath is really helping now. We're getting really nice stuff happening here. I'm going to pull some up this way too. And I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the black to kind of help this transition area here. Grab a little bit of that yellow. And these areas, especially right under the chin here, have a little bit of yellow. Barely flicking my brush, just letting the brush do the work. Don't press down at all if you can help it. Now we're going over these yellow areas, changing the direction of some of my brush strokes. I don't want to get too solid. I'm starting to get solid right there. I need to grab some more of my gray. Put some gray back in just right here. There we go. And some of this fur is a little bit gray, so I'm going to grab that gray and kind of touch up with it in some of these areas up here.
Somebody was wondering why you didn't do the lower part of the mouth with the rest of the face.
This part?
Yeah.
Because that'll be the last thing I do, because it's going to be the farthest forward. So I want to get all these underlayers in first, and then I'll touch that up with the really bright colors, and then we still have to put the whiskers in too. He's not done yet. He's still got some layers around the eyes to do too. We're getting there. So what are we at, 2 hours? 3 hours?
3 hours.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Sorry, guys.
It's time for me to go.
It's
go
time
punch
for you
the
to
clock.
go. You're done?
You said 3 hours, so.
I said I was going to try to get it done under 3 hours, but I know it took me 3 hours yesterday, so. It's just got a lot of layers. He's a detailed guy. Getting your money's worth today. Oh wait, they're not paying anything. That's all right. All right, we need to get some brighter white here because I was find a clean spot on my thing here.
The good thing is that people will be able to pause it and come back to it later. They can do it different settings.
Exactly.
You want me to take over? I can finish it up for you real quick.
Yeah, do it.
All right, hold on a sec.
Okay. Just finding some of these upper layers of fur that are noticeable. These white, pure white, bright white areas. Might have gotten a little white on his cheeks. That's all right. No, I guess it's. I guess I'd never really paid attention to their fur around their, face that much. But you always think of a lion having a mane, but they really do almost, have the beginnings of one at least. It's pretty dramatic hair going around. Okay. Now we can start putting some of that bottom chin here. You really kind of tap right here because it's coming straight at us, so we're only seeing the tip of it. And then as it kind of falls down, it's got some direction here. There we go. Oh, he's looking good. Getting there. Grab some more of that yellow. And put in some yellow hairs under here in this guy. I did warn you, so that's all I have to say. Sorry. Glad I had a snack before I started it all. Okay, going over the top of some of this, add a little bit of yellow tint to that area. A little bit in here. I'm pretty fierce.
Okay, so the picture is a little more red. Is it just because it's a picture?
That's just my photograph. No, yeah, it's.
Oh, okay, it's the same
color.
Okay, because somebody asked earlier if it was going to be red,
Oh,
and I was like,
no,
oh, yeah,
it's just
yeah,
a
for
photograph.
Sure. So I lied to him.
Yeah, because mine is more close to the colors of the in the
Okay.
photograph too. This is actually washed out, but it's not as red.
So is
You
your
can make it more red if you want.
is
though.
your camera settings then?
It's yeah, it's
That
my
made it more
camera
red?
settings.
Okay.
Yeah, it did. Sorry.
And you were giving me photograph advice yesterday.
It was.
Critiquing the
Mark
Instagram pictures.
has foreground problems with his photographs.
So tell them about the picture you took of me at my apartment in Arizona to send back to my family. Go ahead.
Come a long way since then.
Yeah. So your professional photography.
That was pre-digital cameras too, so we didn't know what it would look like until it was developed.
Yeah, what were you more important? Or,
The flowers.
Yeah.
I got all the flowers at his feet, but I just cut off the top of your head.
Well, you cut off basically from the neck up. Sending a picture back to my family and got my feet in the flowers, but no face.
I did do that. Well. It's funny, I forgot about that.
So we got two super chat donations.
Oh, wow.
We got one from Karen,
Thank you, Karen.
and we got one from, right here, SL Brom 17. Thank you so much, guys.
Wow. Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
It's great.
I think they want me to go buy some dinner. Hashtag FeedMark.
Yeah, exactly.
That's supposed to be only on Tuesdays, you know.
I know. Well, it is Saturday. It's my long day. It's
That's
just-
true. And it's really amazing looking. People are loving it.
I
for
knew
sure
it
in the
was going to
chat.
be a long one. That's kind of why I was putting it off doing it. Honestly, I was kind of procrastinating on it because I knew it was going to be a tough one, but it's worth it. Okay, a little bit more white here. Tapping in some highlights in the chin just to make it stand out from the rest. If you get too much, or like in here, it's kind of dark around the chin, so what I'm going to do, and that's dry, I'm going to just give it a white light wash of color. So we'll use a little bit of the burnt sienna here. We'll just put a little bit of that color underneath and wipe it in. Watered down burnt sienna.
Another super chat donation from Lady Fair.
Thank you, lady. She's from Netherlands, right? Is she the one? I think she is.
No.
Is she England? Pretty sure lady.
I think you were thinking of Lady White Fang.
That's right. That's who I'm thinking
Lady Fair.
of.
We'll find out where Lady Fair is from, though.
Where? I was thinking of, lady. There's a lot of ladies. Thank you, Lady Fair. That's sweet. I'm going to go in with my burnt umber here and darken up some of these areas under here too. Whoops, got a hair, regular hair in there. Get away.
She's from Chicago.
Oh, US of A. Very
Yeah.
nice. We went down to see Lollapalooza back in 2012, I think.
That was
That
a
was
while.
amazing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
beautiful city.
Beautiful city for sure.
We loved it. The Museum of Art there is spectacular. Unreal. They have some of the best works of art in the world. Some of the most famous, iconic pieces of art. I had no idea it was so... I mean, we were there for the concert, but we did, we had to hit the museum. But man, we were impressed. It was beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I'd go back in a heartbeat for sure. I don't know that we're going to do Lollapalooza again, though. That was a trip. It was a little bit too much.
For a couple full people like us.
Yeah, a little too big, a little too...
And we didn't have the money to pay for like the VIP
Exactly.
air-conditioned padded seat option.
Yeah.
We didn't do too well in the mud with all the young kids.
No. No. That's why I like to do the Memphis in May, because it's smaller. All right, now we've got black on our brush here. Now we're going to do the final kind of little touches with this black. Pulling some of this black hairs down into our white. Don't have to do a lot, but we're just going to kind of make sure these transitions make sense. Let's go cute. If a tiger can be cute. Almost done. Hanging in there.
Is that the 30-minute mark
Nope.
of almost done?
No, I hit that 30-minute mark
Okay.
an hour ago.
You hit the 30-minute mark an hour ago.
It was before we hit 3 o'clock. I know that. I said we're almost there. But
Okay. So don't forget Stickman today, though.
no. Do I need to do... I'm not doing Stickman today. I'm sorry. I'm tired. Do I need to? Do I have to?
Wow, you didn't do them Tuesday. You're not going to do them today. Okay.
Okay. All right, I'll do them.
Wow. No. No, if your heart's not in it, I don't want you to begrudgingly do it.
All right, a little bit of black here. I'm going to do like dots along this. Oh, I forgot I didn't do the whiskers yet. Darn it. We're not done. The whiskers are going to take a while. Hopefully not too long, but they do take some time. And honestly, I could spend another 2 or 3 hours on this, fine-tuning things, putting another layer, adding more small brush strokes and that kind of thing. There's all kinds of things you could do to tweak it. Let's add our highlights in our eyes. Grab some white and add a little tiny bit of black. Make a gray. Very light gray, though. Tap off the extra, and then we're going to... Oh, yeah, I was going to put another layer. Never mind. I need to do that first. I need a little bit darker than that. A little bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber on the tip of the brush. And I'm just going to try to get it rounded out a little bit. There we go. Especially in these corners over here, it's really dark. Get some black. That eye is cut off a little bit more up there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to use this tiny little spotter for my whiskers. Add a lot of water to it so that they flow. Just any small liner brush, just the smaller the better. A lot of water. And we'll do these eyebrow hairs. There's a couple of eyebrow whiskers here and here. I don't have enough water on my brush. It's not flowing. See how it's breaking up and it's not continuing there? That just means I don't have enough water. So
your hands over the brush a little bit when you're doing that so they can really see it breaking up.
I'll hold it sideways. It should flow all the way to where you lift off the canvas. If it's not flowing all the way till you lift, then you just need to add a little bit more water. These are really long, man. They're going all the way up to his forehead. There we go. Even pressure. Hold your brush. I find that if I hold my brush real close to the ferrule here, I can get a little bit more control, just above it actually, and do them as fast as you can. The faster, the better. Set it down where you want it and just hold your wrist steady. Don't press down on the brush at all. Just barely set the tip of it where you want the whisker to start and pull towards yourself. Do some in different directions. Curve. Most of these are curving down in this area. If you get one that looks weird, you can wipe it off, or we can touch it up with other colors. You know, if it's really noticeable and you don't like it. Everything can be fixed. But having a small brush and just, I'm not pressing down at all. I'm just setting it down and letting the brush do the work. Just running the tip, barely touching that tip where I want those whiskers to go. Do some on this side. And they kind of come out of those little black hole dots that I put, so use those as your guide of where to start these. This is definitely the last step because you do not want to have to paint around these or paint over the top of them after you've done all this work. Make sure you cross some of them over some of your dark areas. That's it's not going to show up if you only do it over the light areas, so you're going to have to deliberately cross over some of the dark. We could, I mean, technically these are going to have shadows below them, so we could double load our brush. So I could put a little bit of gray on one side, pick up a little bit of black, and run the white through it. Do these kind of a middle gray color so that we could see them against the light and the dark. Let's see how that looks. Maybe do a few of them that way too, just so that you can see the, you don't want them to be black, but
so after the whiskers, you've got the light highlights in the eyes to do. Yeah.
Yes. That'll be our last thing. I promise.
I thought the chin was the last thing.
I did too.
Hey, you're doing great. Don't rush it. Take your time.
Yeah. Thank you, hon. These ones are curving out. There we go. See, not coming off my brush. Add more water. Especially if you're using heavy body acrylics. If you have like high flow or fluid acrylics, you can probably use that for this part. Go a lot faster, be a lot easier to control. There's a lot of these, so don't skimp on the whiskers. I mean, unless you're just having a really horrible time of it and but honestly, more is better when it comes to these because it'll kind of camouflage any problem ones that you have. So, as long as you leave a little bit of space in between them so you can see the colors underneath. Whoops.
No, I just zoomed it.
Okay. All right. Let's do a few up higher.
I'm not used to the camera still that even when I take my finger off the zoom, it keeps going for a little bit.
Gotta anticipate.
Yep.
Okay, let's do a little bit around the eye here. Not really eyelashes, but there's a little bit of, and then there's a little bit of the black. There's a little bit of that too. Just, I don't want him to look like he's got weird eyelashes, so kind of keep them small. Don't make them real long. There is some little fuzziness right there. Okay, let me grab that. I've got this brush. It's probably all dry now. White and a little bit of black. Make it gray, light gray. Water it down so it's semi-transparent. And we're going to go over and just tap a little highlight. It might be a little bit too, that was a little bit too bright. I want to keep it pretty, a little bit more water than that. Keep it pretty translucent. Have them about the same place, but they don't have to be the same shape exactly because this one's going to be picking up different light than the other. Use that light green and white with a little bit of yellow. So like a bright, vivid lime green with a bunch of white in it. Bunch white, so it's mainly white. Okay. Take off most of the color, add a little bit of water so it's fluid, and I'm going to use this to highlight a little bit on the bottom. I'm just tapping in a light wash of color just right along that bottom of the eye. Don't go up too far with it. Gives it an extra bit of shine right there. And then to finish it off, we're going to do a nice thick, well, not thick, but yeah, you want thick paint right into that white. Just get a little bit of that really thick white right on the tip of your brush, and I'm just going to tap it in over the top of that highlight area to create a bright spot. Do it on both sides. we're good, I think. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, go ahead and zoom out there. Oh, good, stop. Go ahead and take off the, maybe just a tiny bit more, hun. One more time, just like tap it. There. And take off the picture. Yeah, there we go. All right, there's our finished tiger. I probably, actually, I say he's finished. I'm seeing now he needs a little bit more white on this side right here. So, a little bit more of that bright, bright white, a little bit of water. If you're new to my channel, thank you for watching. I hope you've tried this. If you're watching all the way to the end, you're probably planning on it. We'd love for you to subscribe and share it with me on my social media. I've got links down to my Facebook group called Thankful Art. Our #1 rule is be kind in your critiques, and really no critiques unless it's asked for. So if you just want to share your artwork that you've painted from my tutorials with me, that's the place to do it. So I'll see it, and it's a safe place to share your art. People there are really nice. I also do art chats in that group. So Mondays I do a art chat, talk about what I'm going to be painting that week, and answer questions if you have any live on Facebook Live. So right from that group. All right. Last few little details here, just a little bit more bright white to finish him off. He was fun, I have to say. I don't know, be painting another tiger anytime soon because he was a lot of work, but he was fun.
Well, your Klimt, the Kiss, was 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
And so
are we beating him?
We're at 3 hours 27 minutes right now.
So he beat the Kiss.
Yeah.
I think the Van Gogh or the Monet one, the Water Lily Bridge, was, we had to split it up into 2 parts. I want to say that one was pretty long too. Let me add a little bit more right here. Just the places that are that really bright white. Just want to punch up that color. That extra layer of bright highlights is what really will make it look finished. Okay, I think we're done. What do you think, hon? Look done to you?
Looks super to me.
Let me see. There's a little bit too.
But it doesn't look done to you.
Well, no, just right here. Notice the black was pulled down too far. Okay, good.
You gonna sign it?
Yes. I'm gonna use my pen.
And stickman it?
Make it easier.
Chat's demanding stickman. It's not just me.
Okay.
I'm not making it up.
This is permanent waterproof, so it will not bleed when you varnish over it. It's really important to use a pen that's waterproof and light fast, so don't use a Sharpie to sign your paintings if you can help it. They will fade. So eventually your
people in the chat are saying, is there a highlight on the nose?
Yeah, I put it on there. I can put a little bit more.
Okay.
That's probably a good idea.
But don't let that cut into stickman time. It's not that important.
Well, I don't know where he is. You're going to have to find him for me. I think he's hiding right here somewhere. White and a little bit of red. No, I don't know what to paint for him. He's not getting a tiger, that's for sure.
I'm going to do tiger face toes up here. No, that's the old one.
No, I don't know where he is.
Uh-oh.
He's been...
All points bulletin.
He's been stolen and moved. I don't know.
All right. We're going to be searching everybody.
Sorry. Might be a little bit much.
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know where he went to.
Oh well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's him.
Crisis averted. You can stand down.
Okay, and then I'm just going to wash over these with a little bit more of that blended red, just to soften that up. Just blend them into what's going on his nose. Okay, there we go. His nose highlight is very subtle. It's not like he doesn't have a shiny spot. I think their nose are kind of more matte. So it's not got a really bright shine like on a dog's nose. It's not, I don't think it's wet. So, all right, let me set him aside. There's our stick man guy. He's not getting a tiger. I don't have time to paint him a tiger, sorry.
Bamboo.
Okay, bamboo.
Or painting his face like a tiger. No.
Oh,
Just bamboo.
that would be
Bamboo is
cute.
great.
All right, I'll just do bamboo over here.
Something quick.
Thank you.
But you shouldn't be sitting on him pretending like you don't know where he is. Because you don't want to do
I didn't
him.
remember where he was. I put him there so he was conveniently close to me, and then I forgot that I'd put it there. Okay, so here's our bamboo forest behind his head here. And we'll give him
Great
some
job.
green grasses. Well, it needs its stripes in there, so. Well, that's not bright enough.
You're overthinking it.
Well,
But that's what's awesome about you. If it's art related, you take it to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And hey, that's what's great. I mean,
I can't.
You're a
I
great
can't help
teacher.
it. Thank you, honey. Oh, you're so sweet.
Well, you are.
Okay, there. That's our badly painted bamboo garden. I didn't use the phthalo blue at all. I think I used it a little bit in the bamboo when I did it before I used, but oh well. You can mix your own. There, it's so bad. If you weren't watching this, you would be like, "What is that?"
Just tuned in. What kind of art channel is this?
Exactly.
This is what she
my
did for the
goodness.
previous 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
awesome tiger. That is awesome, Angela.
Thank you.
It really is.
Thank you. He's pretty cool. He was fun to paint. A lot of work, but it was worth it. I'm going to touch up right here. Notice that this is too far from there. And we're going to call it good. All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time. We'll be back on, zoom out just a little bit. We'll be back on Tuesday night, and I'm not sure what we're painting yet, so I'll figure that out next week, I guess. We'll be on vacation for a few days. It's 4th of July coming up. Oh, it's actually 4th of July.
It is 4th of July, yeah.
Ah, yeah, so I gotta find out.
We'll do some fireworks or something.
I don't know, maybe. It'll be almost too late to paint fireworks
Right,
by then.
right.
So,
Oh, well.
maybe an eagle.
Yeah, there you go.
No, we don't want another long one.
No.
All right.
One blade of grass. We're
One,
done.
one blade of grass. Yeah. Oh goodness. His. Okay, I'm done. I'm not.
She's reaching for her brush
That's all right.
again.
I'm
there.
not gonna do it. I just noticed there's all these weird flyaway ones, so just put in a few extra random ones and make yourself happy. Make me happy. I'm not gonna do it. I promise. I'm done. Okay, give it a like, thumbs up, and we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye, guys.